Broncos country, we could have a new owner very soon. Let's discuss. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Sparkin over Broncos, the show where we spark conversation about our Denver Broncos. I am your host, Gage Madrid. Before we jump into the Broncos ownership situation, be sure to leave a like on this video, as well as subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss another video. We are trying really hard to reach 500 subscribers before the NFL draft, so I would really appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. The path to the Denver Broncos having a new owner and successor to Pat Bowlen by the beginning of the 2022 season is beginning to become more clear, as it was recently announced by Sportico that the team is down to 5 finalists who submitted an initial bid on the team, with 3 of those names being disclosed. These 3 individuals are Rob Walton, heir to the Walmart fortune, Todd Boehly, who has a stake in multiple Los Angeles sports teams, and Josh Harris, who is controlling owner of the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Jersey Devils. Prior to Pat Bowlen having to step away from the Broncos ownership duties due to the advancement of Alzheimer's disease in 2014, he put a succession plan in place, placing the team in the control of a trust with the hopes of one of his children taking over the day-to-day operations at some point in the future. Unfortunately, that plan never came to fruition, as the team remains in control of the trust to this day. The likelihood of the team remaining in the Bowlen family became even more bleak following Mr. Bowlen's death in 2019. Following multiple months in a bitter court dispute between the trust and certain members of the Bowlen family regarding Mr. Bowlen's mental capacity when the succession agreement was made, finally, the legal hurdles have been cleared and the team is now in prime position to be sold at auction to the highest bidder. Today, I want to break down the 3 candidates whose names have been publicly listed and give my thoughts about what type of owner I would like to see lead our football team. Starting off with the most notable name on this list, and that is Rob Walton. Walton is the oldest living son of Walmart founder Sam Walton and is the heir of the Walmart fortune. He was chairman of the Walmart company from his father's death in 1992 until 2015. He is the oldest known bidder at the age of 77, so that is certainly something worth noting. That said, he is also the richest known bidder by a long shot. Per Forbes, Walton is the 19th richest person on the planet, with an estimated net worth of a whopping $70.3 billion. Out of these 3 bidders, Walton would be the only one with enough cash to buy the team outright without the need of assistance from an investment group, so that certainly is something that gives Walton a leg up on his competition. Although Rob Walton himself does not have any previous sports ownership experience, this would not be the only Denver sports team within the Walton family, as the Denver Nuggets and Colorado Avalanche are currently owned by Rob's first cousin, Ann Walton Kroenke, who is also the wife of Los Angeles Rams owner Stan Kroenke. The other 2 publicly known candidates would likely need assistance from other investors, as their resources alone would not likely be enough to make a sufficient bid for the team. Unlike Walton, however, this would not be the first experience these 2 bidders have had with stake in a sports franchise. Starting off with Todd Boehly, he currently owns partial stake in 3 Los Angeles sports teams, the Lakers, the Dodgers, and the Sparks. He also made an unsuccessful attempt to purchase the Chelsea Football Club, the other football of course, for $3 billion. It's pretty clear that Boehly wants a piece of multiple different sports teams, and the next league he is targeting is the NFL. Boehly made his money in the finance industry. He is currently the owner of Eldridge Industries, a holding company. According to Forbes, Boehly's net worth is $6.2 billion, which obviously is still a behemoth amount of money, but in comparison to Rob Walton's $70 billion, it's chump change. Finally, we have the quote-unquote poorest of the three publicly known Denver Broncos bidders, and that is private equity investor and controlling owner of the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Jersey Devils, Josh Harris. According to Forbes, Harris's net worth is $5.6 billion, which again is still a crazy amount of money, but in terms of NFL ownership, it is a bit low. According to reports, the sale price of the Denver Broncos is expected to shatter any previous record of money generated from an NFL sale. I could be wrong, but I believe the previous record holder is the Carolina Panthers when David Tepper bought the team from Jerry Richardson in 2018. There are reports out there that the Denver Broncos could sell for upwards of $5 billion, so if Josh Harris were to want to seriously put his chips on the table for the team, he would certainly need the help of an investment group, which is what he is doing with the 76ers and the Devils, although he is still the controlling owner. Harris has a very lucrative career as a private equity investor, as he co-founded Apollo Global Management, one of the largest alternate investment firms in the world. The remaining two investors' names have yet to be disclosed, but at this point in time, Rob Walton likely figures to be the favorite to place the winning bid. The Pat Bowlen Trust has an obligation to sell the team to not necessarily the most qualified candidate, but simply to the highest bidder. That is the unfortunate reality of the business of the NFL. The other 30 league owners simply aren't going to approve the sale, as they have final say on the matter unless the revenue generated is at its maximum. Finances aside, although this likely won't factor into the decision at all, Rob Walton has another leg up on the other bidders, and believe it or not, it's actually partially due to his age. Since Walton essentially retired from his Walmart company duties in 2016, there is a legitimate chance that the Broncos would be towards the top of his business priorities. When you compare that to guys like Boehly and Harris, who already have lucrative careers in other fields, the Denver Broncos would almost be like a side project for them, and the team simply wouldn't get a majority of their attention. With Walton, he would at least have the time to focus a majority of his energy and his resources on the team, which is one of the many reasons that Pat Bowlen was such a special owner and was truly one of a kind. I'm not saying that I want a meddlesome owner on the caliber of a Jerry Jones, but I do at least feel an owner who is willing to invest a large chunk of their time and resources into the team and not have the team take a backseat to their other business projects is key. This whole process of selling the team is certainly emotionally draining, as it is the unknown that really gives me a ton of unease. You see teams such as the New York Jets, Dallas Cowboys, Cincinnati Bengals up until last season, Jacksonville Jaguars, Detroit Lions, sorry Derek, and Cleveland Browns be anywhere from perennial underachievers all the way to perennial bottom feeders in the more extreme cases. The reason for this? Poor ownership. Then, of course, there is Dan Snyder and the Washington Commanders, which is a whole other can of worms in its own right. The tree rots from the core, and when you have a crappy owner, odds are good that your team is not going to find sustainable success. Is it possible? Yes. The Bengals are finally starting to find some sustainability, but that is mostly due to Mike Brown getting older and having less day-to-day control of the team as a result. Also, a certain unicorn known as Joe Burrow may help. While our franchise landed a unicorn in its own right this offseason in Russell Wilson, one of the main reasons he wanted out of Seattle was the stagnantness from the front office following the illness and subsequent death of their owner Paul Allen. There is no way that Russ is going to want to deal with the same type of drama and dysfunction in Denver that he just got out from under in Seattle. Frankly, whoever the new owner ends up being will have to meet two massive expectations from me. The first one would be to keep our current front office structure intact, as for the first time since 2015, it feels that the team is on the right track. The second one kind of ties into the first, and that is to give George Paton the resources that he needs to keep a competitive roster around Russell Wilson for the years to come. Way too often, you see teams fail to put an adequate amount of pieces around their franchise quarterback, and as a result, the quarterback is asked to carry the team on their back, and it leads to the team often underachieving. The Seahawks are a prime example of this, as they wasted a large number of Russ's prime years stuck in this very cycle. The Broncos have to learn from other teams' shortcomings here and not get gun-shy when it comes to building a championship caliber team around their franchise quarterback. As much as I am ready for this ownership saga to be over after almost 8 full years of question marks, I also want this process to be done right and for the owner to have the best interest of the Denver Broncos in mind. Unfortunately, while we can speculate all we want, we won't truly know what type of owner we are going to end up with until the transaction has already been made. Let's buckle up and hope for the best, Broncos country, because regardless of what happens, it's gonna be a crazy ride. Be sure to hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel and get pinged with notifications by ringing that little bell. It would really help me out a ton. We are trying to reach 500 subscribers before the NFL draft, so be sure to subscribe if you have yet to do so. It only takes 1 second. Also, give me a follow on Twitter at Gage Madrid NFL for more coverage of our Denver Broncos as well as the NFL in general. And for now, this has been another episode of Sparkin' Over Broncos, the show where we spark conversation about our Denver Broncos. I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.
Yonder.